Now, once you have taken your canvas out of the plastic, you can either pop it up onto an easel like this, or you can just lay it flat on your table. In terms of paint, I have put out some cool blue, cool yellow, burnt umber, cool red, and white. These are the colors that you're going to need to create your paint. Don't forget, clean water and maybe some paper towels as well, just to help clean off your brushes. Now, the next thing to do is put on your favorite music. All right, if you've ever been to one of my workshops, you'll know that we time everything to music here. Plus, it's nice and relaxing when we're painting. So I'll give you a moment to do that. Now, out of your 8 brushes, I want you to grab the largest brush. It's got a flat head on it like this. We're going to use this as our very first brush on the painting. Get your big brush and pop it into your water and soften up your bristles. Then what I want you to do is somewhere on your paint palette, grab a scoop of white and a scoop of blue and mix those two together. We want to try and get a really nice baby blue for our sky. Now, once you have done that, I want you to get the thin edge of the brush. So you've got the flat edge here and the thin edge across here. You're going to come 3/4 of the way down and just put a little line across. Don't worry about it being straight. Now, this whole entire top section here, you're going to use the widest part of your brush, the flat part, and you're going to fill it all in with baby blue paint. Now, little tip is to make sure that your brush is constantly wet. If you are applying paint and you're getting along the canvas and it's dragging out, it's getting very dry, you want to pop your brush back into your water, swirl it about your paints, and then apply it again. So I would normally take 1 to 2 songs to fill this section up. Give it a go. Another little tip is to get a nice smooth finish on your canvas is once you have all your paint applied, you go back in with a wet brush and a little bit of paint, and you want to go from one side to the other without stopping, edge to edge. Okay, you will have to dip your brush back into your water, back into your paint again, but this is going to give you nice smooth lines from side to side. You shouldn't have any little gaps or any patches in your paintwork. Now you can go ahead and wash out your brush. Using the blue that you have left over, and I don't have much left on mine, I'm going to use that same brush and add a bit more white paint to it. Okay, so this time you should end up with a really, really pale blue. And you're going to go ahead and apply that to the next section down. So I'm splitting this bottom portion in half and filling the top half of that section with this very, very pale blue. Again, swiping right across from one side to the other, edge to edge, until you have that entire section filled in with light blue. Now, where the 2 blues meet, you want to get your brush. My brush at this point hasn't been washed, doesn't really have any extra paint on it. I'm just going to use that brush and run it across where the 2 lines, the 2 colors sort of meet until it softens out. So you just keep going back and forth over it, and then you'll slowly move your brush up in to the darker blue and then back down into the lighter blue. If you notice, my brush hasn't left the canvas once. It just keeps going left to right and slowly up into the darker blue and slowly down back into the lighter blue. You will repeat this until you get a nice smooth finish and a sort of ombre. So it should go from darker blue into very, very light blue. Once you've completed this, you're going to go ahead, same brush, I still haven't washed it yet. I'm just going to add another scoop of white again into the middle here. So at this point in time, it's even lighter again. And you're going to go ahead and fill in this bottom section with that lighter color. I'm just going to lift mine off the easel here so I can get the edges. Again, you're going left to right. Fill all of that in. And then you're going to repeat the same process as before. You're just going to use that brush and smooth over where the two blues meet, bringing it up into this mid blue now and down into the lightest blue. Again, keep doing this until you get a nice ombre softened effect. I'll give you one more song to do that. So well done. You've just filled in the background of your canvas. It's at this point that you can use a hairdryer to dry it off, or go make yourself a cup of tea and let it dry naturally. Hopefully your canvas is good and dry. You no longer need to use this brush, so you can put it to one side. The next brush that we're going to be using is this round head flat brush. Okay, we've got like a smaller version of it and a larger version. We're going with the larger round head brush first. So we're going to add in some clouds. You should still have a little bit of this very pale blue color down here. If not, you can mix some more just with white and blue. I want you to wet this brush. If you still do have some of this left in here, you might just add again another little bit of white. Okay. Try not to put red in it like I've just done. Okay, so we've got a little bit of this color here, this nice round brush, and we're going to go ahead and map in some clouds. People usually worry when they have to paint clouds. Don't panic. I'm going to show you how to do it in a really simple way. So over here on the right hand side, all you're going to do is slowly map out. So I'm keeping my brush flat. I'm not going this way with it. I'm holding it like that at an angle to the canvas. And I'm just sort of mapping out the rough shape of a cloud. Don't overthink these too much. They are going to sort of change in shape. And the nice thing is clouds don't have to be absolutely perfect. So again, I'm just pressing into the canvas. I'll bring it a little closer so that you can see. Just pressing the paint into the canvas. Don't worry about this jaggedy edge along the bottom. We will come back to that. So you can add in as many clouds as you like at this point. I'm just going to bring this back a little bit. Now, once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and add a little bit more blue into that color that you were using, okay? So I've darkened it down just a little bit. So all these bottom edges of the cloud that are a little bit raggedy, you're going to be able to sort of dab over the top of that. So just along the edge, you're just darkening this bit down. So stick with me on this one. I want you to go ahead and darken all the edges of these clouds down. Now you're going to go ahead and grab the smaller version of that round brush. So you were just using this one. you're going to swap over to the smaller version of it. Okay, again, pop it in the water, and this time I want you to get fresh white paint that's not mixed with any blue, and you're going to apply that to the top of the brush, and then we're going to very carefully just go around the edges. So we have these top parts of the cloud. I'm just using my brush to go over the edge with a little trace of pure white. So I'm outlining the tops of these clouds. So I'll give you maybe 2 songs to do that. Now, once you've done all of the white on the top of your cloud, you're going to do something that I call cutting in. So again, same brush, white paint. I'll come a little closer for this one. We have all of these white outlines, but instead of the white just being along the top, you're going to cut it into some of the clouds. I'll use this big one over here as an example. So I'm going to take the line of white and I'm going to cut it down into the cloud, almost as if you've got 2 clouds now, one here and one directly in front of it. So I'm tracing the line and making it look like I've got a second cloud layered over the top. I'll do one here as well. So I'm just going to cut into this cloud on the left hand side and sort of just drag it down, almost splitting it in 2. So add as many of these little cut lines in to your painting as you want. Now I want you to wash and dry out that brush that you were just using. And this time we're going to sort of softly blend those white lines in, so I'll come closer so you can see. I've got my dry brush here, and where we've applied this white line of edge paint, you're just going to very gently drag the brush downwards. So you're softening the edge slightly. I'm just using the very tip of that brush just to drag the edge of that white down, like 1 or 2 millimeters down into the blue. Again, just softening the edge using that brush, and it's a dry brush. If at any point in time you pick up too much paint as you're doing this, you can just wipe the paint off. All right, so I'm going to give you 2 songs to do this. You can repeat this process if you want to add a few more clouds in. You might want to add one here, or you might want to add one up there. So I just want to show you what that's going to look like. You've maybe done your painting and you're thinking, right, I've done all the steps, I've created my clouds, but I actually want to add in a few more. Can you start from the beginning? You can, okay? So you're going to go back to this slightly bigger round brush. Again, we're going with the very pale blue, so the color that was right down the bottom here. So if you need to mix that up again, you're just going to do a blob of white and tiny little bit of blue, just a pinprick of blue. You want to have it really, really pale. Okay, so again, we're starting with that bigger round brush. And then you would just go in ahead and do what you did again. We're pressing down, we're pressing into the canvas, we're adding that extra cloud in. Okay, you can layer a cloud in over the top of one that's already there, just as I'm doing now. or you can fill in any little gaps if you wish. So if you wanted to fill in the gap here, you could. If you wanted to fill in over there or here, you can just add an extra little bit of a cloud in. So I'll add one just here where this gap is. I'm just pressing into the canvas. Now when you get to the part where the two clouds are going to meet, you're going to have a little bit of a darker line, which is nice. Leave that darker line in there. You're leaving a little gap between the cloud that you've just put in, which is this one here, and the one that was already in just below. And I'll maybe add one just in front of this cloud, just over here. The other thing you can do is you can add little wisps of cloud, because they're not always going to be big and fluffy. So the way to do that is get that colour onto your brush, but make sure that you don't have a lot of paint on your brush. So you can also wipe a little bit of it off on your paper towel, and then you can find a section that you want to do a wispy cloud in, and all you're doing is sort of dragging the brush. I'll take even more of that paint off. You don't want a lot of paint. You want your brush nearly dry. So I'm just dragging my dry brush along and smushing it into the canvas. So let me show you that up close. There's very little paint left on my brush. And whatever is left over, I'm dry brushing it in to the canvas. It just gives a faint line to make it look like a little bit of a cloud. So I'll do another one. I'll get a bit more paint on my brush and then wipe the excess off. I'll just do one here. So I'm nearly doing circular motions, but the brush never really comes off the canvas. Again, once you run out of paint, pop your brush into your paint and then rub most of it off again on the paper towel. You really don't want to have a lot of paint on your brush doing this. Very little. So I'll let you add as many of those in as you like. Any of those extra clouds that you popped in before, the little filler ones or the extra one that I put here, you need to swap back over to that small round brush, go back in and do the edge in white and cut in and then blend out, okay? So just a recap on that, you go across the edge in pure white with your small brush. You can cut into the cloud to add some extra layers of white. And then you use a dry round brush and you drag that white down in to soften the edges, okay? I'm going to give you another 2 songs just to work on your sky, work on your clouds and get it just exactly the way that you want it. Now that you're happy enough with your clouds, you're going to go ahead and dry off your canvas. So again, you can use a hairdryer or you can just chill out for 10 minutes. Now we're going to mix up 2 different greens for the bottom part of our canvas. I want you to go ahead and get this flat brush. It's a smaller flat brush than the one that we used at the very beginning. And find somewhere on your paint palette to mix together yellow and blue. So I'm going to grab 3 big scoops of yellow and then just 1 scoop of blue. You should get this really nice, bright, vibrant green. Now next to that, you're going to go ahead, I'm going to wash my brush out again. I'm going to add another 2 or 3, maybe 3 big scoops of yellow. This time you're going to add 2 scoops of blue. Now you should have a slightly darker green at this point. And what I want you to do is add 1 scoop of brown into it as well, just to really deepen it down. So you should have a dark green and a light green. Now using that flat brush, I want you to go ahead and get your dark green first. I'm going to use the flat, so the widest part of the brush. And down at the bottom, I'm just going to start layering in lots of green lines. Don't overthink these, as these are just going to make the background color. So all I'm doing is short brush strokes, left to right in different sort of angles, all the way along the bottom. And then they're going to come up slightly on the right hand side. You'll see I've still got some gaps in between. So go ahead and give yourself 1 song to do this. Wash out that brush, we're going to use it again. This time you're going to get that lighter green and you're going to fill in all the gaps using those same types of brush strokes. So left to right, alternating the direction of the brush stroke, and give yourself 1 song to do this. Now that you've done that, we're going to wash out that brush because we're going to use it again. I want you to mix together a scoop of blue and a scoop of brown. Mix those 2 colors. Should end up almost with like a very deep navy color. We're going to go ahead and add that in as well. So any little gaps that are left, just go over the top. It will sort of mix in with the greens that you have underneath, which is what we want. So just go ahead, give yourself 1 song to do this. So you should end up with something that looks like this at the bottom. You can go ahead and dry your canvas. Now this should be lovely and dry. I want you to go ahead and grab one of your smaller thin brushes with a pointed head on it. That one there. There should be probably 4 of those in your pack. So grab one of those, pop it in your water. I want you to grab that really dark navy that you were just using. Get a little bit of that on your brush. And we're going to do some very long stems coming up. Again, these don't need to be straight. You just want them very thin and wispy. I keep adding more water to my brush every single time. The more water that you have on the brush, the easier it's going to be to get those nice sort of thin wispy lines. I'm barely touching the canvas with my brush. I'm just going very, very lightly. So you're going to go ahead and add a lot of these from right to left. I'll give you 1 song to do that. You also want to add some little flyaways coming off the edge of that. So think about your hair when you have a split end, kind of similar to it. Where you've done these long wispy lines, you're just going to do some little flyaways coming out of them, some extra little lines breaking away. And you can have those slightly pointing to the left or the right. So add a few of those in, give yourself another song for that. Now that you've got that done, we're still going to use that small pointed brush. With your light green that you've mixed up, I want you to add some more yellow into that to lighten it even more. You want it nice and pale, like a lime sort of colour. And we're going to dot a few leaves over the top. So I'll bring the canvas closer and I'll show you how to do that. I'm just pressing the brush down and dragging it again in that sort of diagonal motion to add some leaves. Two short little diagonal pulls of your brush. you're going to add these throughout. So not just along where you've added these really thin wobbly lines, but you're going to also add it into the bottom darker section, just along there. I'll give you one song to do that. Now you're going to wash out that brush. We're going to use it yet again. This time I want you to go with the dark green. So we have our navy, our dark green, and our light green. You're going for the dark green that we originally added through here. And you're just going to do a few little dots on the end of those wiggly lines. So I'll add a few in here and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So not on top of every single line, but on some of them, you're just going to add a few little clusters of dots together in that darker green. Now that you've done your dots, you can go ahead and dry your canvas. For this next step, you're going to want to make sure you've got clean brushes and clean water, and that you've got room on your paint palette to mix up some colors. Now I'm going to start off with that small round brush. It's got a little round flat head on it. Okay. I've got my paint palette here and I'm going to grab some white. So I've got 2 scoops of white and then just a little bit of red mixed into that. So that I get a really nice baby pink. That's going to be one of my colors. I'm then going to wash out my brush. And I'm going to mix together 2 scoops of red, and just a tiny bit of my blue. Till I get a nice purple. Okay, so I've got this really deep purple here. And then what I'm going to do is take half of that deep purple to one side and add some white to it. So I've now effectively got 3 colours. I've got a lilac, a dark purple, and I've got my baby pink. Okay, just going to wash out my brush again. This time I'm going to put in 2 scoops of yellow and just a little bit of red. And mix those together until I get a really nice vibrant orange. So these are the colors that I'm going to be using for my flowers. So I've got that round, smaller brush, and all I'm going to do, I'll come closer, is just press the brush down, kind of like we had done the leaves, this time with a slightly wider brush. So I'm just going to apply that orange paint with short brush strokes to give the illusion of a flower. So I'm not going to go all the way around in a circle, otherwise you're going to end up with a very big flower. Again, I'll show you just up here against the blue so that you can hopefully see it. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 of those brush strokes in a little cluster together. Okay, again, just sort of 2 or 3. You don't want to go around and have 5 of these brush strokes in a big circular way. You can also just add 1 little blotch throughout. We're going to layer this up with lots of color to give the illusion of flowers. You don't always have to paint the exact shape of a flower. Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 song to add in as much of that orange paint as you like throughout this green section at the bottom here. Now you're going to wash that brush out again. And then you're going to repeat that process, this time with the pink. So we're just adding 2 or 3 little brush strokes. And just pressing down with the brush. We just want to add that colour throughout this bottom section. So I'll give you 1 song to do that. Now that you've got all of your pink, you're going to wash out that brush again. This time you're going to use your lilac, your very light purple colour, and you're going to repeat the process. Don't be afraid to layer them next to one another So I have a pink flower here, and right next to it, almost on top of it, I'm going to add a bit of purple. So don't be afraid to do that. Now that you've added in the 3 colors of your flowers, you're going to go ahead and dry your canvas off. We're going to go ahead and add the center into our flowers. So you're going to grab one of your small pointed brushes. We'll start with our purple. We'd mixed up this really deep purple at the beginning. Just grab a little bit of that. And inside each of your purple splodges that you have, you're going to do almost like a little star shape within it. So I'll bring that a little bit closer so you can see what I mean. So if I grab another one down here, do a little X and then another little cross through it. Do one up here as well. So you're adding little star shapes into the center, or you might only be able to fit a little cross or an X inside it. So go ahead and fill all of these up. You're going to wash out that brush. This time I want you to grab your red paint and you're going to add those little X's inside of all of your pink flowers. So again, I'll just show you that up close. Just a little cross inside each of your pink flowers. Go ahead and give yourself one song to do that. Once you have done that, you're going to grab the same brush, the red paint again, and you're going to use the red for the center of all of your orange flowers. So again, just adding that little cross star shape within inside all of your orange flowers. I'll give you one more song for that. I want you to grab that same brush again that you were just using, wash it out. This time you're going to add dark brown paint, and we're going to add a little dot into the center of each flower. So over the top of where you've just put the star shape, I'll bring it a little closer. So if we look at this flower here, I'm just putting a little brown dot right in the center. So you're going to go ahead and do that to all of the flowers that you have here, and I'm going to take 2 songs to do that. I want you to go ahead and wash that brush out again. You can use any of the 3 colors, the pink, the orange, or purple. I'm going to go in with the pink, and I'm just adding a few little dots of pink throughout the bottom section. So where the green is, where you have the long stems coming up the back. I'm just adding a few little dots of pink. Again, just to give the illusion of flower buds without having to actually paint them all in. So I'll start here with some pink, and then I'll wash my brush out, and I'll do a few in the lilac. Again, I'm just sporadically sort of adding these in little clusters together. So I might do like little dots of 2s and 3s. I'm going to wash my brush out again, and then go in with the orange. And now you have completed your painting. Congratulations! I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I cannot wait to see how your paintings have turned out. Please feel free to put them up on your social media and tag us in them, and we will reshare them on our socials as well. Don't forget that if you head to our website, artstudio23.co.uk, and head to What's On, you'll be able to find out all the workshops that we're doing in person, our studio in Newry, sometimes pop-up workshops in Belfast or Dublin, or maybe even Dundalk. Or you can send us a message if you want to have your own private event here at the studio, or indeed at a venue of your choice. Thank you for watching. Bye.